Welcome, everybody. It's that time of the month. You know what it is. It's a new episode of Talking XP, where we discuss some of our favorite things, which just so happens to include games, movies, and most importantly, D&D. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm the host, Johnny, and we have Ryan. How you doing?
I'm here, and I'm ready to go.
Noise. Zack, how you doing?
Hello, and welcome us to your ears. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Very good. And Daniel, how you doing?
I'm tired, but I'm ready to rock and rollio.
It's the best way to get the podcast out.
Absolutely. Tired and ready to rock and rollio.
Yeah.
First off, our schedule. We are streaming a lot more now. Check out our Twitch channel for all of the content that we're basically pushing out now. We release our podcast every third Tuesday of the month, and then we are streaming Knights of the Old Republic every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we're also streaming Baldur's Gate 3 every Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. And then, of course, our one-shots of the month are now changing to the last Monday of each month. So look forward to that on June 28th. We are going to be playing... Ryan, you want to announce the title of our one-shot of the month?
We'll be playing an excerpt from the campaign module that's being released and will be on Kickstarter in the near future. It's called Reign of the Necromancer, and we'll talk about more of it when we get there. But that's gonna be a little exciting desert traveling survival
Might have to bring
story.
Clergergan out of the closet if we're gonna be fighting necromancers.
The anti-necromancer.
It is going to be like a second level. It's going to be a second level adventure, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So
Maybe an origin story, perhaps.
So look forward to that on June 28th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Moving on to our announcements. We have a Discord server, which isn't really much of an announcement, but join our community. We're growing it every day, so come on over. We'll have a link in the description. We also have a Patreon, and we would like to thank all of our patrons that have thus far supported us. Steven, Kristen, Jack, and Heather, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all.
We also have a Ko-Fi. Still don't know how to say it.
We're gonna lock. We're locking it in right now. It's Ko-Fi.
It's actually pronounced coffee.
Coffee. All right, we have a coffee. You can go and check it out, support our show. If you like what you hear and see, maybe. I don't know. Depends on what you're listening or watching. Anyways, another big announcement is we opened up an email account. And our email account, you can send your 1-minute one-shot solutions, any questions you'd like us to talk about on the show, any general comments you have about the show, go ahead and send it to asktalkingxp@gmail.com. So asktalkingxp@gmail.com. Send us whatever. We'll talk about it. It'll be great.
Get involved.
So we're looking forward to hearing from y'all.
We love it.
And the last, I'd say the most important announcement that we have is that we are going to be playing Curse of Strahd, streaming on Twitch. We don't have an exact start date, but we are currently looking for cast members that would like to be a part of the game. I'm excited personally because I've wanted to stream Curse of Strahd for a very, very long time. And I'm excited to bring in some homebrew stuff that I've cooked up, a lot of homebrew stuff all over the internet, and I'm just excited to play. So look forward to that. There'll be more details in our next podcast episode for sure. And if you want to keep up to date, go ahead and follow us on Twitter. That's where we're mostly active, at TalkingXP. But anyways,
which is another thing. We've recently, if you listen to our past podcast, we've recently changed over all of our Twitter handles and all of our different social media to being Talking XP rather than Talking_XP.
Oh, good.
It's a lot easier.
Get that line
It's a lot easier
here.
just to do Talking XP than it is Talking_XP. So that's our Twitch. That's our Patreon, coffee, everything.
Yeah, you're right.
You can find us anywhere with just Talking XP, no underscore. Anyways, so with that aside, let's move on to our games, movies, and news discussions, starting with a new D&D adventure. And we called it last time. It was, I remember saying that we thought that it was going to be a Feywild adventure, and sure enough, the Wild Beyond the Witchlight is going to be a Feywild type of adventure, and most likely, Zach, you're going to love this.
Oh, I love this.
They'll probably have owl folk in it.
Oh, hell yeah. I love owl people.
So, anyways, that's going to be... Their release date is set for September 21st, and they also have a D&D Live of 2021 that's going to be showing on July 16th and 17th on G4. They're going to be doing a lot more of a highlight on this new adventure coming out, but...
Yeah, so what's interesting, too, about this is September feels like it's so far away, but it's really not at this point. It's only, 2.5 months away at this point. Three months, maybe.
It's scary when you say shit like that.
I know, it's crazy to think about.
It's almost okay. It's almost 4 months if we're really counting here. But
yeah, because the 21st, September 21st.
It's like it's towards the end of September. We're at the beginning of June.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
But hey,
time
I
marches
agree with you.
so fast that it might as well be tomorrow. Like 2021's almost half over already, and that is terrifying.
When I saw the date for it, though, I was like, that seems really far away. But yeah, like I said, the more I think about it, it's
It'll
really not.
be here before we even know
But
it.
Secondly, do they often post races or lineages in campaign modules? Because I don't feel like they ever have, really. I mean, they've done backgrounds, because I know like Haunted One is part of Curse of Strahd, but I didn't think they've ever done any like subclasses or not that I feel like it'd be the perfect fit for it. But just,
right. But so I think one point that I'm going to make about that is that they are so far into 5th edition now that the only way that they can release things like this is through either, whatever they publish. So I think that, it's pretty easy to connect both the Unearthed Arcana that we talked about 2 months ago or something like that with the Fey folk or whatever. Most likely is going to be at least shown up in this in some fashion, but
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that since we're so far into D&D 5e, they would probably take the chance with this publication to just here's more races, and that would even bring more people into it, because I know I would be super stoked to have those races as well. Eberron created the Warforged and Artificer.
Yeah, but that also was a setting book.
It was a setting more than it was an adventure book, but
kind of like how recently with Vanbrook and Sky they released all the Gothic lineage stuff that we talked about prior, and I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. I was gonna look up to see if maybe Realm of the Frost Maiden had anything interesting in it, because I wasn't sure if maybe it did. I don't think
would
it
be
did,
interesting.
But anyways, that's just my thought that I had.
Yeah, with that aside, July 16th and 17th, they're going to be releasing more information. They probably will on their social media, but we'll keep an eye out and retweet on our Twitter. Follow us, please. Anyways. Primal.
Yeah,
we didn't get to this last podcast. Zach, you want to talk about that?
Oh, I've been wanting to talk about Primal for so long. Primal's the sickest show ever, you guys.
Where is it?
It's on HBO. It's on Adult Swim, I think. It is an animated show from Genndy Tartakovsky, who you know from like Dexter's Lab or Powerpuff Girls or that Clone Wars short, that he was doing.
Jack.
Like,
yeah, you're missing the biggest one, Samurai Jack.
He's got so much. I can't keep him together, man. But like, so much good stuff. And throw this on the pile because it's the best. It's about a caveman and a T-Rex who are best friends, and they're just out surviving in the wilderness, and they come across shit like snakes, giant spiders, zombie brontosauruses, ape men. Crazy shit happens. It's
awesome.
Super rad, super violent, really well animated and designed. Everybody's gonna love it. Go check it out if you can.
How long are the episodes?
Like 20 minutes. There's 10 out right now. It flies by. Season 1 finished a few months ago. It's like 10 episodes, and season 2's on the way. Probably gonna finish it up. I love it. It's like a great show. I had a hell of a time watching that.
Awesome.
Highly recommend everybody.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'd be super down. Well,
Go
check out Primal on HBO.
It's on HBO Max, and
then Adult Swim whenever
you can
it
find
releases.
it on the internet somewhere, I'm sure.
True. All right, well, go check it out, everybody.
You can find it.
Avengers Campus. Let's talk about that. The new. So in Disneyland Resort, the one in California, the one in Anaheim, which I am 20 minutes away from, and I'm totally gonna check this out. But Avengers Campus is the new Avengers Land that they created within California Adventure, the Disneyland park that's just across from the original Disneyland.
It took over the Bugs Life area of Disneyland or California Adventure.
Let me tell you, that place needed a facelift for sure. It was a lot of fun, but it was outdated and it was just not the place where people would go.
Yeah, where's the Bugs Life 2 and Bugs Life 3? Where are those movies at?
Yeah,
missed opportunities.
I don't know, man.
When you have 4 Cars movies, we can't get a Bugs Life. Okay, so there was a Bugs Life land. I don't remember that. Did we even go there when we went?
No, we didn't.
Did we just skip that entirely?
Okay, so you know where, for anybody that is in Southern California that's been to Disneyland, or people that have just been to Disneyland and know California Adventure.
For anybody who hasn't, go. Well, maybe not right now, but when it's good to go.
It's good to go now. I think anybody that's outside of California can set up their reservations. Anyways, regardless, put that aside.
Go get vaccinated.
You go into California Adventure, and when you go to basically the main square in the very entrance, you go to the left, and from that left side, you'll see the Hollywood street, and then you go to the right at the end of that street, and you'll see the Tower of the Collector, formerly
the Tower of Terror.
Oh,
yes, Guardians of the Galaxy escaping whatever, the Collector or whatever. Anyways,
that fucking thing.
So if you were to go from there right, it's right there. It's right there. That's where Bugs Land, Bugs Life Land, whatever was. And it was the only time that I ever went into the Bugs Life Land was so that I could shortcut to Cars Land. That was the only reason we would ever go in there. And
I think when you and I went, we hit Guardians of the Galaxy, and then and that was a whole fucking thing. And then we went back straight out, and I don't think we ever hit that section.
I mean, there's a reason for that too. It's because a lot of what Bugs Life Land had was a lot of more things suited for children. Yeah.
So this is more of like a Galaxy Frontier for Marvel side of things, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
and there's
it's pretty cool.
A lot of cool stuff.
There's a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, I was checking
Frontier,
out a lot of their TikTok stuff that they were just posting on for promotional stuff, and I saw some pretty cool behind the scenes stuff, which I know that I think Disney Plus released the behind the scenes when it first came out with a lot of the cool stuff they were planning. I think one of the things they were doing was showing off their Spider-Man robot, which is pretty cool. We're doing a stunt robot for swinging.
Damn.
And so I saw that in action, fully costumed, and it looked pretty sick. So basically, just to break down some of the cool things I saw, they had their opening ceremony. I think it was June 4th is when it opened. I'm not sure if it was the night before or if it was that day. I don't remember, but they had a really cool festivities. They had Anthony Mackie there, handing off the shield to the new Captain America that's going to be in the Avengers Campus for photos, which is really sick. I saw some really cool footage of their cast member who was being Doctor Strange entering into I'm presuming his photo area. And I think I sent that to you, Johnny.
You did, yeah. It's so sick.
It's so sick, yeah. The doors open behind him, and you just see him doing his portal thing. And the way that they just do their technology to make it look like it's there is pretty sick. And then
they
it
have
just
a
disappears.
screen on the inside of a door that shows the actual circle, and then he comes out. He's doing the whole sorcery movements and stuff with his hands. Oh, it's so sick. And then he finally closes it, turns around, and everybody's like, ah, and he's like, what the? Who are you? And it's so funny. It's great. Check out the TikTok.
Those Imagineers come up with some cool shit.
And then I think this is also the Spider-Man one, because he has the whole Spider-Man ride there. That seems kind of interesting. It sounds kind of like it's similar to maybe how Astro Blasters is in Disneyland with Buzz Lightyear,
cool.
or the other Toy Story ride in California Adventure.
Toy Mania or whatever.
Yeah.
Midway
it sounds
Mania.
Like, it sounds like it's like that, except it seems like it's doing like more VR stuff where you're actually using your hands rather than anything else, which is kind of interesting. But the cool thing is seeing the Spider-Bot in action, and as well as like how they blend that with an actual cast member playing Spider-Man, because you see him atop the building doing his little stunts, and then he's talking to people through Tom Holland's voice, which is kind of interesting seeing like how they're doing that. And then you see him disappear around the corner, and also you just see the huge Spider-Man bot fly through the air, doing a flip and landing off where you can't see, where you see the cast member come running out again. And then you see him crawl down the wall, flip off the wall, and then come straight down to where photos are. It's pretty sick.
That's cool.
That's pretty just seeing how interactive it is. And it looks like they've designed the robot to do many different poses as it's swinging through the air, so it's not always the same pose necessarily.
Interesting.
Which is pretty cool.
That's clever.
Just to give it a little bit more lifelike stuff. But I definitely am excited as, a pretty big Marvel fan to go see that. I remember they've been working on it for at least... They started working on it the last time me and Sabrina went, which was in 2018. So they've been working on it for 3 years at least. They were also working in Galaxy's Edge for a long time too. But
yeah.
Well, they blocked off some of Bug's Life when, Zach, I think you came over here when that was happening. They blocked it off a little bit, but I don't think that they fully blocked it off. And then they finally I know that they went hard.
They went and exterminated all the bugs.
Once COVID hit, and they were just like, let's get it done.
Mm-hmm. Now's the time.
Yeah. Anyways, well,
that sounds like fun.
I'm excited to check it out. I really want to do it sometime soon, but planning a wedding is a lot.
I still haven't, I really wanted to go to Galaxy's Edge, and because that happened right before COVID.
Pretty sweet.
I mean, I think we talked to, Steven from SW5E and how, I really want to go to the Star Wars Hotel at Disney World. I think that's going to be really sick. It's going to be a couple $1,000s, which is going to be ridiculous, but... I can't really,
It's something to work up to.
It's something to work up to. Like, it's not something I can really justify spending that much money for. But it would be a cool experience.
Someday.
You spend like 3 days on the Starship Hotel, which is kind of sick.
That'd be so sick.
But
if you would like for us to talk about Disney theme parks on our podcast, we have a coffee. We have a Patreon.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Since we were talking about Marvel and Disney and stuff, I wanted to kind of gauge what you guys thought about the leak for a new Marvel-themed XCOM style video game.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that.
I did not hear about that.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah,
that
so
sounds cool.
I mean, I'm a news junkie, so I'm constantly looking at all of this stuff, and my phone knows that if it's going to be video game news, then I'm probably going to want to know. And last Friday, there was a story that broke that there was some leaked information that at E3, which I think is next week or the week after,
soon.
It's very soon.
That the studio behind XCOM is going to be announcing this XCOM-style game featuring Marvel characters. And have you guys played XCOM?
I'm not familiar with it.
I'm very unfamiliar without having played it.
So the basic is that it's a tactical top-down or isometric strategy game where basically you command in the XCOM a squad of XCOM, which is like a government agency that fights aliens, a squad of soldiers as you try to basically tackle certain scenarios. And each of your different soldiers, they're different types. You can have a sniper, a medic, a bruiser, like a guy with a minigun, and that's where the variety comes in. And then how the game sort of progresses is you go through these missions, and in the original game, it was permadeath. So when your squad member dies, they're dead. You have to recruit a new guy, all of your skill points and levels up, and equipment you purchased for this character is gone. So there's a little bit more kind of investment there. And as soon as I heard that idea, I was like, yeah, that sounds brilliant, because it'll allow you to take advantage of all of these different kind of character abilities. Obviously, there's a multiverse full of possible enemies and scenarios and things.
Oh, totally.
And maybe it could provide us with some of that hero gameplay that we're missing
That everyone's
from Marvel's Avengers. So I'm saying.
What sort of heroes do you think would fit well into this gameplay style?
Well,
You
I
could
mean,
make
I
any of
think
them.
exactly. It's like
I
if
guess.
you've ever played like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I mean, yeah, you could essentially, because basically you just work out. I bet you could stratify the characters. You could have, your ranged characters, your
Yeah, I guess that
support,
makes
your
sense.
melee, your tank, your etc.
Support.
And then just like
Buffers.
build them out from there. And I could with a game like that, you could see it. You start out with the normal Avengers squad, like 4 of them. Maybe Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and
Cap, the big one.
sure, and Cap. There you go. That's the first squad, and then you can go from there. Well, you kind of acquire all these characters. I don't know. Thought it was genius.
That sounds
I
cool.
hope they
I would be super
confirm
into
it.
that.
I hope it's coming out soon. Probably
That's
not.
real.
Hopefully
but that
they-
would be really
Put a little
cool.
bit more work into this one rather than.
Yeah, see, I think the problem with Avengers, not to get too sidetracked, is that I think when they were initially creating the game, they were creating it as a single player game, and then the studio came in and said, "Hey, that live service shit, let's do that. That sounds like a great money maker.
We want
let's
that Destiny
do that."
money.
Yeah, see, like that's what has to have happened because the game, which I was reading a Reddit post earlier today too. It's like the game engine is not meant for something like this. The game engine is the Tomb Raider game engine, which is meant for single player stories. And it shows because the campaign is, like, I'd say 8 out of 10. It is really well done. You don't feel trapped in to the maps as much in any of the single player missions. They're all really creative set pieces. They're really cool. I think the very first mission where it takes place on the Golden Gate Bridge is definitely the most expansive of all of those. But ultimately, like, you can't, like, they have all these missions, like, they have some that take place in New York City, and, like, as Iron Man, you can't fly higher than, like, a 4-story building. Like, it just doesn't work. I saw in the same Reddit post, there was a video of somebody using the game engine, Unreal Engine 5, which is, I think, the newest Unreal Engine, and
Yeah, it's
somebody just was
in
saying,
beta.
"Oh, I'm just messing around," and somebody made, like, basically a Superman that just flew across New York City, and it just shows what you can do if you're using the right stuff, and, like, that's what I had to say
Tales
about
old as
that.
time. Corporate greed.
I think that, well, first off, if you're going to be trying to fly around like that, just play Lego superheroes because, like, it's so much fun. It really is.
I heard that was good.
Basically, you're describing the game that Marvel's Avengers wishes it was. It's
Right,
like a
of course.
Marvel, like a Lego Marvel.
Of course.
essentially.
But, like,
Yeah, and you get all those
the
powers
other
and
point,
characters on release,
right. The other point that I was going to make was, do you think that we'll just go with this supposed the situation of the developers coming in and saying, "Hey, we want to have, live services and we're going to do that, or live servers and you're going to do that and all that stuff." Do you think that the campaign would have been even better if they had not even fucked with the live servers at all?
Well, okay, look. I mean, what is a live service game? It's a game where the whole point is that you continue to produce content in order to get players to engage and continue to purchase. Okay, so you can say who cares? It doesn't. The goal of this game was to sell skins. That's the model. That's how they make money. So the product that they made, that's what it is meant to do. And then how they get you to buy those skins is what the game is. And they never really made they just made a system where you could run through an environment with a skin on, and that's kind of what it is.
Right, but that's not what Johnny's question was. Johnny's question was asking if they didn't focus on the live service aspect of it, of making it a skin collector game, would
Right.
the campaign have been more successful? And I think that they could have made it longer. It wasn't that short of a campaign, but it wasn't long either.
That's
And,
what I
like,
was going to ask. How long is it?
I think it was like
10 hours.
10, 12 hours, yeah.
Gee,
Well, and
that's
I guess
short.
I didn't say it clearly enough, but the whole thing with a live service game is because you have to continue to add to it, you can't give a complete story.
That's
So-
fair.
So
Yeah.
there was no, it never was designed, the way that it was made, it was never designed to have an ending. And so therefore it does not have one. The campaign concludes sort of artificially, and the story essentially goes nowhere because the plan was to add to it after the game came out, and that
And they
never
didn't, right?
that never happened.
mean-
well, and it could still maybe, but who knows?
Probably not.
You
Doubt it.
say it's artificial, and yet there's elements of it that obviously went on to, continue it. But I felt like the ending was conclusive enough to be satisfying, just playing the campaign by itself.
Sure. I
but-
mean, besides, it left open some big questions. I guess.
I
it
mean, yeah,
depends.
and I think the reason why it leaves such a bad taste in the mouth is because we know how those questions are being resolved, and that's why it's disappointing. I think
Sure,
had
right.
it just ended the campaign as is, and then just hey, be on the lookout for Spider-Man, or I say Spider-Man 2 because I'm thinking of PS4 Spider-Man, which is
Great game.
such a good superhero game.
Love
It's like
that
on the
game.
exact
Very good.
opposite
Good game.
end of the spectrum.
Platinum. Yeah.
I think had they gone that route, I think those questions could have been a lot more fulfilled. I think you'd probably agree as well with doing something like that.
Yeah, I just looked it up on howlongtobeat.com, which is a great website. Whoever
Good
made
resource.
that,
I use
like,
it all the time.
ooh, great. But they say that the main story is an average of 11 hours and 50 minutes, which in today's gaming culture, that is a short game.
Depending on, yeah, I mean, there are some games that come out at that length, but they give you an experience that is not this game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
if it's an unsatisfying 10 hours, then that's one thing. If you come out at 10 hours, like Resident Evil 8 is like, I beat it since last podcast, and like,
That's
it's
a great
about
example.
a 10-hour campagn, but I
That's
was
a perfect
fully
example.
Yeah, I was fully satisfied with that. I'm like, that's a complete package. I'm happy with that, and it has like New Game Plus and shit to go back over it if you want to.
Just two things. I was looking at two other games. Last of Us 2 that came out was 24 hours, just main story. Ghosts of Tsushima was 24 and a half hours. So it is still pretty low on, at least on like top level games.
For
but-
RPGs. Sure.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what I figured. I just figured that they could have done something similar to that, but I understand what they're doing. Anyway.
What I was gonna say is a really good game with a fantastic story, beginning, middle, and end, great cast is Ghostbusters the video game. That game is such a well done masterpiece. Like it is Ghostbusters 3.
It's called classic.
It is. It's such a good game. The gameplay is so much fun. Like if you have not played it, I know they just remastered it recently. I think a couple years ago for the next gen, which I think the next gen remasters were kind of rough from what I've heard. Like graphic wise, like they had some weird glitch things. But I remember getting it on Steam when it first released in 2009. And since I was always
8 hours
like,
to beat it.
it is
8 hours.
which is really weird because I remember the
Garbage.
first time I played it. It took me 20 hours to beat the game.
Nothing wrong with short games,
So,
Johnny.
no.
Which is
We're
why
getting
it's
fine.
really interesting because I was looking at it too and it said only 8 hours. Like, there's no way it's only 8 hours because like I said, I played it for a long time.
Completionist, 23 hours.
Yeah.
So you're right around
Like if you're
that time.
But I wasn't even doing
typically if you're just
completionist. I was
looking
just playing the game. And
just having fun.
I will
Yeah.
I will say, the only other thing I wanted to say was I have recently fallen back into Destiny, live service game. The way that they make this game good, and by the way, right now it's the best it's ever been. The story is actually like really, really compelling. Is every single week, you load into the game, there's about an hour of story progression every single week that they've been doing now for the past like 6 months, maybe. So that's 20 hours of story progression. It's not always through cutscenes or what have you. Sometimes they're like animated, sometimes it's just character dialogue kind of explaining where the story's going. But that really has worked. It's also very respectful of your time because you just have to commit 1 hour a week and you can get caught up, and then you can, if you don't have, you can save up 4 weeks.
That's
and then
an interesting
play for 4
point.
hours.
Yeah.
So you can take it at your own pace. And what happened? So right now we're in the middle of a season, so we're at kind of the midpoint of this arc that we're on right now. A huge event has just happened, and we got this incredible story from the perspective of like one of a race of aliens that we have been fighting in the Destiny universe for the last 8 years, that told a story about what they think we're like to them. And it was like really compelling and like very dark, because they basically talk about how they have to live side by side with these mass murderers who they can't kill, who slaughter their women and children. And you're like, whoa, this is, you got me, I'm hooked. Take me, tell me where you want me to go from here.
That's cool.
It can be done.
See, that brings up a really cool and interesting point. First off, you're basically playing Destiny D&D, is what it sounds like. It's every week you have a session where you get to play and continue this arc. Super cool to think of games having seasons. To have a game that continues on but, and this is the part that really gets me. Destiny, to speak to it, Destiny 1, I got it when it first came out, and I know that it's changed, and I understand that, but it's always given me a bad taste in my mouth, because the very first time that we played Destiny, it was a half-baked game that they decided that they would update later. Yeah. And that's bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of service games start that way.
Developers cannot do that, because that is awful. And then No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is another great example where the game was terrible. It was awful. So bad that they were giving refunds because it wasn't what they said it was.
And
Cyberpunk as well. It's one of those things that I think could be great, but you cannot take advantage of it.
You're totally right. And the thing that I will say, and I'm a fanboy, so I'm going to defend Destiny. At least the difference between Avengers doing a live service now and Destiny in 2013 is in 2013, there were no models for a successful live service game. It was not a success at the time. It was kind of a disaster, but at least nobody had done it yet. They were on the cutting edge. This is 8 years later. Avengers knows what a successful one of these games looks like. They could have innovated more. Instead, they made the exact same mistakes.
And you can say that Destiny definitely delivered after their release. They did. But Ryan, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say a good live service game is, to shout out Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is a game that is constantly adding new mechanics to it and new things for players to enjoy, new missions. And, it's all free, which is great, as all live services should be.
Has a season pass.
It has a season pass, but you don't need it for anything. The whole point of the game is just hop in it obviously it's different for people, but for me, the fun of it is to hop in there, do some pirate things, sail around, just have fun, hunt for treasure. And you can do that. There's new stuff you can always explore. They're always adding new stuff to their map, new islands to go to every time they expand the game, which is really cool. New world hazards, new bosses. It's really cool. From when the game first came out, which I never played it then, but just knowing where it was and where it's now, how they're always adding stuff and doing stuff for the community is really cool.
It had a very No Man's Sky arc.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that. But it knew what it was from the beginning. It didn't. I don't think it had the same issues that No Man's Sky had necessarily, because people always were doing something in it. But yeah, I think it's a good game. I just want to shout that out.
As long as we're shouting out live service games of our own flavors, Final Fantasy XIV is a free trial up to level 60, including the critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward.
Check it out.
Just want to let you know.
That's an MMO, though. Come on, we're not nerds, okay? We don't
You
play
didn't know that
MMOs.
You didn't know that you were getting into an ASMR right there until Zack just started it.
I mean, something
expansion Heavenward.
Something I just will say about live service games in general, not just Sea of Thieves, although in my mind, what I'm talking about is Sea of Thieves at the moment, is there's season passes, or there's things you can buy, skins for like the ship, for instance, for Sea of Thieves. But none of that's what you need. Like, you can buy a lot of stuff just from playing the game, which is really fun. But it's nice to have those options, because if you're really enjoying the game, I want to support the creators that are making it. Like, I'm all in to pay them $5 for a little stupid dog skin or dog pet. It helps them keep creating cool stuff for the game.
And they're purely aesthetic. They don't do anything for the game, which was also cool. The barrel one, that was awesome. It was aesthetic, but it was also like you could actually use it in strategy. But
it kind of is a huge game mechanic thing. But yeah,
but it was free though, so anybody could get it. You didn't have to get the season pass. You could just get it automatically, which I think was a great idea, and I'm glad they did that, because if they didn't, they would have gotten so screwed.
For sure.
But
it
that
just
aside,
takes a couple hours of grinding, but it's fun. But.
Right. That aside, the friendship onion. What is that?
So, okay, you guys know how the Lord of the Rings are the best movies of all time?
Of course.
And you know how
it is known.
everyone's favorite characters of the entire trilogy are Merry and Pippin?
Treebeard.
Of course.
Right, yeah. So the actors of Merry and Pippin, Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd, made a podcast called The Friendship Onion, where they talk about Lord of the Rings, behind the scenes, trivia, that kind of stuff. And also whatever the hell else they feel like talking about. And it's a delight, and I've really enjoyed listening to it. So go finish listening to this. What's that?
We should invite them on the podcast.
Yeah, we could have them as guests, or we could be guests on there, or however. Hey,
Yo, come on over.
Yeah, we know you're listening.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you.
I saw Billy Boyd at a con. He was doing one of the panels, and I came in at the very tail end of it, because the person who's coming on right after him was Stan Lee, the late and great Stan Lee. Which the Stan Lee one was great, but I came on at the very end of his, and I wish I could have been there for the whole thing. But the last 10 minutes that I caught of his was really fun. They're
fun guys. In the first episode, they try a Twinkie for the first time.
What?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Mm-hmm. So you can go hear about their thoughts. So finish listening to this episode, and then go listen to the Friendship Onion.
Yeah. Time. I wanted to take my honeymoon to New Zealand at the end of the year,
that would be
but
so good.
They're still closed. In November, they won't be open. Well, at least they say that they won't. Anyways,
anniversary.
I want to go see Hobbiton. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Mythic Quest. Ryan.
Yeah. So I just found that today, and I watched the very first episode before we started recording today. I saw a trailer for it. Here's what started it all. I was just browsing YouTube. And I saw that there was an interview with Danny Pudi, who I absolutely love his work. I love Community. I love him in DuckTales. I love just all the things that he's done that I've seen him in. And he had an interview with Jimmy Kimmel talking about how his interview with Larry King became a meme, which it did. I remember when it first came out a couple months ago, where Larry King...
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Larry King was talking to Danny saying, hey, what are luxuries you can't live without? And Danny Pudi just said, I guess coffee. And Larry King was like, coffee's not a luxury. It's like, give me a luxury. It's like, I don't know, maybe my socks. I like socks. It's like, no, like luxuries, like private planes. And Danny's response was just, Larry, I'm on DuckTales.
This clip is legendary.
It's
really
so funny. It's so
great.
funny. But he was talking about that moment in that interview on the interview, and then he started talking at the end of the whole interview about his show Mythic Quest that he's on, and it got me interested because obviously it sounds D&D, so I wasn't sure if it was a D&D show or if it was just another comedy show. I wasn't sure, so I looked into it and I saw a trailer for it. It looked funny. It's about basically it's an office comedy show. About a group of people who make this MMO that's basically WoW in this world. And
Got it.
Or Final Fantasy 14 with a free trial up to level 60.
Or Final Fantasy 14. But Mythic Quest, basically, it's called Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet. And the reason it's called that is because Raven's Banquet is their first big expansion that they're talking about and they're trying to release. And it's just a workplace comedy where it's taking place in the game studio with all the different leads. Like you have the creative director who's the main character, you have the actual coder, the lead designer, the executive producer, the game testers. I don't know. I was pretty happy with watching it. There's a lot of really great, funny character moments.
Sounds like fun.
I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. They already are on their second season right now. I think they released the 7th episode of the second season, I think the week that we record this podcast right now. So by the time this is out, the 7th episode will already be out. And it's made by the same people who are behind, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is pretty good. I've never watched it personally. I know Johnny and Daniel, I think you both have watched it.
Also,
yeah, big fan.
show.
Seen pretty much every episode.
Watched a lot of it.
I'm on season 6 right now. I'm still trying to get through it, but yeah.
I also recognize Jessie Ennis from Better Call Saul, she's so funny in this first episode. Daniel, do you know who I'm talking about?
Say the actor again.
Jessie Ennis. She is like the law temp at the law firm that Saul works at temporarily. He gets like a really good job and he starts messing everything up. So she's his assistant there.
Okay, yeah, I think yes, I do know who
like
that is.
Blondish brown hair.
Sure.
She plays a similar character, like as far as like assistant goes, but dialed up to 10 in this since it's a comedy. And
Of course.
There was one moment that I'm not going to talk about other than it just being hilarious, and it's towards the climax of the episode. But yeah, I'm excited. I recommend it. Mythic Quest. It's on
good.
the only
Apple Plus,
problem.
right?
It's on Apple TV, and that's the garbage part.
Okay, well.
I don't like that it's on all these different services. But
Yeah.
I just got a 7-day trial, so I'm just gonna watch it. So
Yeah.
and it's only $4.99. So if I spend $4.99 for 1 month, it's not gonna be the end of the world.
Finish it off
Just-
and then be done with it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
you. All right, well, go check out Mythic Quest, Apple TV Plus. But with that aside, we're going to move into our 1-minute one-shot, where one of us is going to be taking on the role of the DM and create a simple obstacle that we have to solve. For this month, we have Zack. Take it away.
Here we go. This one might not be so simple. I've left a lot of blank space for you guys to fill in. I think that'll be both challenging and fun. And this one is for Kristen. So here we go. You have a patron, a wealthy member of the nobility who has mentored you and supported your adventuring forays for years. They have in their possession a magical flower imbued with the power of the sun, which is kept in a solarium on the estate and guarded night and day. The petals of this flower are used in a medicine that wards off your patron's terminal illness. The problem: the local thieves guild has got word of this flower's existence and has kidnapped your party as hostages. The terms of the release are the delivery of the sunflower in 3 days. So, do you steal the patron's flower? And if so, how? Or do you sneak into the Thieves Guild and free your party? And if so, how?
Okay. All right.
So, clarifying question.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of those. Hit it.
Is my patron a giant, like, beast-like person?
No.
Okay, so this isn't Beauty and the Beast.
No.
Okay, never mind then.
Would it be an older woman that is pretending to be my mother?
Possibly.
All right.
That was closer to the reference I was going for, yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. You know, I think what I would start off doing would be getting the sunflower, bringing it to the Thieves Guild without the patron knowing,
Okay.
and then seeing what kind of antics I can get into once the party is saved.
Okay.
I think that's what I would go with. That's my start off plan. And
Okay.
I know there's no like specific things that we would do,
But you got an angle. Okay.
that would be my angle.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I've got an idea. Hold on, I just have to check some rules things very fast.
Sure. Take your time. Give it some thought. I know this is a very broad question, so what's up, John?
I already gave my answer. I
No,
had another answer, but
You really kind of gave a non-answer, so if you want to fill it in with some details,
Sweet.
you're more than
All right.
welcome to.
I will in
Okay.
a sec.
Okay, I got it. So,
Okay, hit me.
I'm a sorcerer.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna show up to the Thieves Guild with a little. I'm imagining kind of like a glass, like kind of domed, some like a thing basically to protect it, but it's clear so that way they can see.
Beauty and the Beast style, like glass.
Exactly. Yeah. So I bring that to the Thieves Guild, and I say, okay, I'm gonna set flower down here. You're going to walk my my friends over to me. I'm gonna slide the flower over to you, and we'll be good. So then we do that, but unbeknownst to them, it's been a minor illusion this entire time.
Okay.
I free my party mates, and then we just slaughter everybody.
Just go nuts. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Did you mention what level we are?
I did not.
Okay. Because basically, if you didn't, I'm gonna give myself a nice high level. What's a really good sorcerer spell I can cast at a high level and just smoke everybody all at one time?
Fireball is always the answer.
Sure, yeah.
Fireball's pretty good.
We'll just fireball. Yeah, just everybody. So yeah, that's my move.
And thus the gang war started.
And ended.
There's a lot of snapping and dancing too.
Question for I will have this idea I'm tinkering in my head. When
Ryan,
you
how you
wild
doing?
shape,
Yeah.
what happens to the things that are on your person?
They morph into you.
I believe they stay on your person.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So here's the idea. Being a
This is an angle.
here's what I do. So being a decently high, not like super high level, under 10.
Okay.
Under 10 for
Okay.
sure.
I appreciate the restraint.
I don't know what I would need to be just offhand to do this, but I'd be at least a couple levels in Druid, probably to do Moon Druids, like have more benefits for wild shaping. And oh shoot, so I'd be 8th level Druid, and it's because I need to be able to fly. I don't know where the Thieves Guild is, if it's in the sewers, if it's above ground in a warehouse. Wherever it is, it doesn't matter too much. I'm gonna make sure I have a couple levels in Artificer as well, so I can have a bag of holding. And then I'm also gonna be.
There are other ways to get in a bag of holding.
That's what that. I mean, sure, but for rules wise, and not have to have any other flexibility of magic.
If that makes you
items
feel
just
better,
falling.
sure.
Yeah, anyways. So we'll say I have a bag of holding, so it morphs into me. And I will transform myself into like a little fly. And I will fly into the little prison. I'll find where we need to go. I'll wait till the coast is clear. I'll morph out. I'll have everybody kind of try to squeeze into the bag of holding. I'm sure Enlarge Reduce is probably a druid spell. I imagine it is.
I don't think it is.
Well, in that case, I'm
It's an
sure.
artificer spell.
I'm sure I could get it through somebody. It's a artificer spell. So, and it's a 2nd level. So there we go. I'll have that, and I'll cast Reduce on my party members, shove them into the bag of holding, and then.
No, druids do have it.
Okay.
I was wrong.
All right.
Oh yeah,
Not
look
bad.
at that. It's optional variant class. Yeah. So, I'm going to enlarge, reduce them, put them into the bag of holding, druid shape back into a fly out of there. You can breathe in the bag of holding. There is air in there for a limited amount of time. And if anything else, they could just hold their breath, because you can hold your breath for fucking ever in D&D and get them out. So that's my plan. That was really long rambling. Wild shape in, wild shape out, rescue party.
Gotcha. Okay. John, you want to amend or give some further detail
So
to
yeah,
your plan?
since I was gonna do druid and then druid craft a flower that looks exactly like the same one, but
Not a bad idea.
since he already went with druid, I know, and I can't find it right now, but I do know that there is a spell that the wizard gets that you can fake you could fake like what an actual item is. So like if somebody casts Identify on it, they would
okay. It, like,
they
actually
wouldn't be able to
detects the
tell that
property.
it's fake. Because it was casted on. Well, I'm not gonna do any spoilers for Rise of Tiamat, but it was casted on a specific item that even through identify
I
wouldn't be
remember
able to
that
tell
shit.
if it is or not a specific item. But I can't find the specific
Well, I believe it's a thing
spell.
to do.
I'm pretty sure, and I just don't want to. Or I would just cast mass suggestion on every single person that I meet up with and just say, hey, give me my party, and then just have them do that. I don't know.
Just hope for the best. So I will be a 3rd level wizard, and just happen to have a bag of holding, because it could be capable at 3rd level. My idea, and I just won't be a fly. I'll just be something that like a small ant that can quickly get in and out. It'll take a little bit of time, but I have hours to kill, and I imagine they have at least a few hours of breathing, at least an hour.
Or you could just be an artificer and create an item that does pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, basically, that's how it works.
Be like, here, just
Is
take
that-
this, you assholes. Give me my
Yeah,
party
but I don't
back.
want to help. I don't want to help the Thieves Guild. No.
No, I mean, you don't know
No,
why they need it. What if they're trying to
they-
bring it to families that need it,
they-
Ryan? What,
yeah.
you just assuming?
Right, because they're not going to profit off of it. They're a Thieves Guild, Johnny.
What if they're a
have-
nice Thieves
They
Guild?
always have an angle.
Yeah, maybe they're a charitable organization. You don't know.
What if their motto is love and caring for everybody?
Rob from the rich, give to the poor.
As a matter of fact, it
Yeah.
is now.
Now it is.
Yeah.
Now who looks like an idiot, Ryan?
in his solution, it is. Any other further details, Johnny, or is that the end of your plan?
I'm still looking for the fucking thing. I don't know what this name is.
Oh my god.
But
Fake
yeah, we'll just
fan
say
over
that
here.
I'll just go with my artificer level thing. I'll just say, hey, this item does the exact same thing. Here you go. I don't know.
So you're gonna. So wait, is it a fake recreation, or is it actually a recreation that does the proper?
A metallic recreation. I make it out of
But it does
metal
do.
and
It does
and
have the
magic.
medicinal properties, or it does?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Non-detection. Non-detection is what you're
It-
thinking.
Yeah. Non-detection. There you go.
Ah, with the clutch information.
There we go.
For the duration, you hide a target that you can touch from divination magic. The target can be a willing creature, or a place, or an object no larger than 10 feet in any dimension. The target can't be targeted by any divination magic or perceived through magical scrying sensors. I think it would apply to that as well. 'cause
You know what I
identify-
think it is? I think it was a spell that was in what is it called? Acquisitions Incorporated. I
Oh,
swear
yeah.
to God, they have something that actually does that. Like it's like
I'm sure they
modify
do.
worth or something like that, and you can
Mhm.
like change it to look like something. Anyways,
I mean,
regardless.
yeah, there is.
What a
It
fun-ass
is.
podcast.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
But regardless, anyways, I would
So,
just say that
there's
with
a lot
everything
of-
being said and done,
Which one are you
artificer
going
that
with?
makes I'll make like
You're
a
making a metal-
refilling health potion or whatever that does whatever the fuck they
Sure.
want.
Cool. Okay. So let's. All right. Start with Daniel. So Daniel,
Yes,
you're gonna do minor illusion
correct.
with fireball prepped.
Yeah.
So you want to give me a D20 for your general degree of success. Let's see how this goes.
Absolutely, I do.
Always.
Roll. Oop, nope. Let's roll 16.
16. Man, they're thrilled. They're like, hell yeah, this thing went off without a hitch. We love this. They grab their flower, they're off,
Idiots.
move off to their cave.
God.
They leave your,
That was so
leave
easy.
your party on the floor. They're not a smart thieves guild. Really not.
Smart enough to take our entire party though.
Yeah, right. Well, they're good at the stealing, not the negotiating. I do want to
Right,
mention
there you go.
also, I'm very proud of you, good boys. Nobody betrayed their patron. It was very nice of you.
Or their
never.
party.
I'm very proud of you guys.
Or the
in
party.
that respect.
Yeah,
Or the
both.
party. Yeah, proud of you guys. Ryan,
I go and enlist.
I got a 2. I got a 2 on probably my stealth roll.
you got it too. Oh, I was really
Oof.
hoping you're Phil, because you sneak.
Oof.
It works pretty well. You sneak in, no one notices you. You come in, grab everybody. I swear to God, I've tried to hide people in a bag of holding, and Johnny said no. So I have a lot of contention with that. But you load everybody up, morph into your little ant. You're crawling along the foam and promptly
Yeah,
get
wait, if you
stepped
go
on.
into a bag of holding, don't you suffocate? Didn't we determine there's no air?
That's what I'm saying. I swear.
There's a certain amount of air, but I think you know what
I swear I've tried this.
He rules it as there isn't, which is fine. But
you know what I would there is a certain amount of air.
All right, well, we'll allow it for this situation.
But What I think would be hilarious is that certain amount of air you miscalculate, and then they run out. You're like, each of them have 2 minutes that they can, and then they run out of air and just open up the bag of holding.
We'll tell you what.
Well, listen, because he doesn't make it that far, because he loads everybody up, walks out, and promptly gets stepped on.
Bruh.
And then I get shifted back to big. Yeah. So here's do Johnny's, and I have an alternate solution.
Well, let's do Johnny. Johnny, you give me a roll. Persuasion check, I guess it would be here.
I also got a 2.
God damn.
Wrecked.
Listen, they're not having this metal flower shit. They
That's
don't
fine.
like. They're like a vegan sort of thieves guild. They're all about nature, and they don't like this stuff. So we want the flower. We're taking one of your party members as a punishment. They kill them on sight. Then try again.
All right. Well,
Yes.
a mass suggestion, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Give me
party
another
members.
D20. Give me a D20.
Natural 1. I'll just end it there. I'm dead.
All right. Yeah. They're just gonna kill it. They're
done.
swarming. They're just gonna
Just go
kill
get
you.
it. Just go get it.
We'll do this ourselves. Why are we wasting time?
Yeah. Ryan, what do you
Ryan,
got?
you want to try again? Got a better idea?
Yeah. So my alternate solution is, I'm still a druid. I'm a higher level druid though. Same kind of idea. Sneak in as a wild shape right away. Then I play my magic staff and I just plant it into the ground, and it's a staff of what staff is it that can make it?
Staff of the Adder, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So I'll do that, and I'll no, it's not that staff.
Oh,
You talking about
okay.
the tree staff?
But it's there's a staff that you can place it down. You can basically just plant a tree,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
cast, and get my party out by doing the druid spell that allows you to
Tree
go through a
teleport.
tree to another tree that you've
Another
seen.
tree.
Or is it
Yeah.
Staff of the Woodlands? That's what it is.
Is it Staff of
That's
the
the one.
Woodlands? Okay.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah.
So do that.
I really I can't see any way that wouldn't work. So yeah, I'm just gonna give that to you. Good job.
Yeah. That was a shout out to our
Got your
Riser
party up.
Tiamat. We
Yeah.
did this
Roll.
to bypass a city gate to get into a secure fortress.
true.
We had
We
the
did do
druid.
It was incredible. I had planned out this entire dwarven fortress. I was like, this level's gonna have this many, this level's gonna have this many, and if they even show their faces, the ballistas are gonna shoot at them, and then they have an entire alarm system that they could do. And then the druid was like, what if I just like fly in there, put my tree down, and then just like yeet us all in
Teleport us
there?
in.
And I was like,
Yeah, it works.
okay. There goes all that work, but cool, that works.
Mhm.
So now later,
You did it.
there's going to be just a mysterious
Oh yeah, where'd this
dwarven
come
fortress
from?
that you guys have to get in for Curse of Strahd or something.
No, I'm looking
I'll
forward
just
to
use
it.
it then.
We'll do the same thing. Kind
Exactly.
of.
All that
Not
work
as much
won't
because
be
it'll be a lot
wasted.
less levels.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your varying degrees of success, and proud of
Thank
you
you.
boys for your at
Thank
least
you.
your good morals throughout.
There you go. Well, with that aside, let's start talking about some D&D stuff. The first one that we wanted to talk about was what makes a homebrew adventure so enjoyable. And this is mainly we're going to be focusing on our most recent one-shot of the month where we highlighted One Page Mage and his awesome one-page one-shots that you could totally pick up on his Patreon. We'll have the link in the description, but it's super easy. It's patreon.com/onepagemage. Super easy.
Really fun.
And
too.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Cobalt
I
Trouble
think
in the Oihan Mountains. In the Oihan.
Right.
Not mountains, just Oihan.
I think that what makes a homebrew adventure so exciting and fun is variety. I think, and this goes back to our discussion that we had last month, keeping campaigns exciting is variety as well. But this one is more of a in-the-moment sense. Dungeons have to have a variety of things, otherwise it just becomes monotonous. Unless you want to run your dungeon as a one thing, then you get to the end, and that's cool too. That's a completely different. I know that Critical Role kind of has something of this sort where like Matt Mercer will run his party into a theater of the mind thing, and he'll have like specific beats that he'll want to have happen. But I guess even then there's a variety of things in those beats, but one of the things that I try to do, and I've seen on the internet multiple times, is a possible RP encounter, a big bad boss boy that like could kill you if you don't be careful and plan. A super easy battle encounter that makes you wondering why the heck it was so easy. A cool magic item that they possibly might get. A puzzle. And traps. Yeah.
Good.
I think that's about
so it's like
all
a
that
checklist
sets.
of like all the different categories to go through.
Right. And I like to have at least one in each different thing, and then depending on the situation, adding more. So one of the adventures that we're actually starting to develop and hopefully produce soon is a temple of sorts that is trapped because of the way that it was built. The reasoning behind what it was built was to protect something from anybody getting in. So there's a lot of traps. There's a puzzle in there. There's a maze. And there's a big bad boy that could kill you if you're not careful. And I think that when we actually ran through it, it was a lot of fun.
I had a good time with that one.
We had a character death in there, but I mean, other than that, it was still a lot of fun just running through that. And yeah, and going back to our one shot of the month, it had traps, it had easy combat, it had tough combat.
It had interesting combat too. Because in this one shot, where we were fighting a lot of kobolds in their little cave, they had a special type of kobold that had a little wingsuit, basically, that could fly around, and that was really cool. Because that's not typically something you see, and so it was just a unique monster to fight. And it was a lot of fun dealing with a few small flying kobolds. Easy to kill, but they're
tough
flying around. But yeah.
And I think that one thing, speaking to the type of monsters that you put in your dungeon, if you keep it to the same exact one throughout the entire thing, that's going to be monotonous as well. What I like to do is whenever I'm building a dungeon, I like to open up the monster manual and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes and Volo's Guide to Monsters. I like to open that up and go page by page. And if I find something that looks interesting, I would try and figure out, okay, how did they get here? Why would they have gotten here? And have like a little storyline behind it so that when you get there, it's like,
it makes sense.
You guys are thinking the same thing, and then you can look around and then find it's almost like a puzzle in itself. How did this thing get here? Oh, there was a opening to a cave. Hey, maybe we can go down there. And then maybe you can have like a cool magic item. I don't know. But
yeah, I think a good example of that would be during our campaign that we've been playing at home, where we were getting into this mind flare ship for the first time, and there was behind this door, there's this large purple worm. It wasn't a purple worm, but I don't. What was it again? It was a neothalid or something like that. It was basically, and if you don't want any mind flayer spoilers by any means, don't listen. But it was basically the tadpole that had it continued to grow and eat the other tadpoles, it would just grow into this giant worm creature with psionic abilities, and it has creature sense, so it knows when somebody's coming near. So it was really cool because it knew when you guys were coming, and your character was like, there was like a lock on the outside, and you guys were trying to figure out how to unlock it. And then I scried on the inside of the door.
You did clairvoyance.
Clairvoyance, that's right, not scry.
And then you saw that the worm was just waiting, looking at the door as you guys were fiddling with it, and you were like...
I was like, nope.
Yeah, so...
Good use of a third level spell slot.
Yeah.
To be clear, we totally could have fought it and killed it, no problem. Could have dealt with it. Decided we had better things to do, so we just kind of, we were in a hurry, so we just went off a different direction. Maybe we'll come back to it. Not high on the priority list.
it would have been a very close battle for sure, because you had one more like a NPC with you that was a cleric, but
Would have been super easy, no problem at all. Yeah, we had a big thing going on, but yeah, it wasn't a big deal. Nothing. What I like about homebrews, and I think makes them interesting, is it kind of ties into what you're talking about, but I really like D&D in general as a storytelling medium, and I think it's cool to like see somebody's imagination put out into a game. So like when they make their own world, make their own rules, like how does magic work in this? How will the pantheon, stuff like that, I think is really interesting. Like original world building and like what sort of concepts the author or DM finds interesting and wants the player to experience. And it's limitless. There can be like any sort of thing that happens on a homebrew campaign, and I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, no, I think that being able to discover a whole new world is one of the cool things about D&D and, DM's Guild in general. Just being able to just buy a one shot, learn what they're doing, and maybe even putting that in your own world. I think that's great for sure. Yeah.
I think that one of the things that I thought was so refreshing, and I think is the brilliance of like the one-page mage specifically, like the format, is that the objectives were super straightforward. Our goal, we got the task from the guy in the town. We found the cave. We got to the cave. We solved the mystery, and by the time we were done, we had completed exactly what we had set out to do from the very beginning. And it was very nice to kind of have, just that little bit more of kind of like that streamlined, because you really felt that you made significant progress. Because sometimes when you're doing a longer campaign, it can be a couple of sessions in between, like getting to where you need to go and then finding the information you need and maybe defeating the enemy that you need to defeat where you're at. And it's a different kind of satisfaction because it's something you kind of orchestrate over an extended period of time. But with this, it's like, yeah, we did it. We achieved our victory. And then also on a slightly different level, it was just fun for me because I played a barbarian, which is like the polar opposite of what I usually play, which is mostly like, spells, spellcasters, high intelligence kind of characters. So it was fun to be more
aggressive,
head
to the face, fist to the head.
And another thing that I just thought of, because I didn't even know this going into this, but there was a wolf there that was a part of your backstory because you had taken the background personality trait or whatever, that I was raised by wolves. And I think that that's also another important thing, that if you are going to homebrew your own adventure, and if you purchase something on on the DM's Guild or something like that, and there's a magic item that, oh man, they already have this, or dang, I have this magic item, just switch it out with something else, something that they could use. Like if there's a +1 armor and nobody needs a +1 armor, I mean, everybody does, but like if nobody really needs it, switch it out with like a +1 greatsword if the barbarian doesn't already have one,
Really cool. Yeah.
That makes sense. Melding
kind of
your one
modifying
shots
it to your needs.
Right, exactly. Melding it to your characters too. Maybe even having like adding a little backstory part in there. Like maybe they find a book that talks about a specific ritual that does blah, 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 that's very important to this character, Anyways.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's exactly right. And that was such a fun moment too, because I didn't know if anything was going to come of it, but also it didn't really matter. I just played out the encounter as the character that I had created had set up, and I wasn't worried too much about what was going to happen on the back end. Because if my character lived or died, who cares? It was a one shot, I don't need this to be something that's going to sustain me for the next, year.
And the last thing that I'll say about it is, as complex as it can get, keep it simple. And that talks to what you're saying, Daniel, is you don't need to add all of these elaborate physics and understanding exactly how a cave works. This is a fantasy world. You can make it as real or as whatever you want, because and honestly, if you're doing all of this research, like, it's great and that's cool if that's something that you want to do, but you don't have to. That's the thing. And I think when I was making our homebrew game, I did a lot of research into different things, and I was like, well, how does a city actually get built, and what is the shapes of a city and stuff like that, which I didn't really care. I just wanted to try and make the world as real as possible and yada, yada, yada. But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
You just wanted to cover your bases in case. Yeah, that's a good point.
So
keep it simple, stupid. Great advice. Hurts my feelings every time.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on to our next topic, we have
a question.
Yeah, it's a question, right? It's a question from one of our patrons, actually, Heather.
Cool.
So this one is, what creative ways have you guys ever thought of, seen, or done with players that don't have their character in a specific situation? They're not there, but the player themselves are still at the table, and they see what's happening, and they have a solution to a problem.
And they keep trying to either interrupt or taking the spotlight or
right,
or maybe just keeping them involved too in a different way.
Right.
Is the
Okay,
question.
I want to make sure I understand. Understand the question. It's how do you deal with a player in the game who it's not their turn to speak, but they want to do something?
So let me create a situation.
Yeah, please.
So let's suppose that you're going into a dungeon, and there's two different it forks, goes to the right, goes to the left, and you have 6 people in your party. 3 of them decide, okay, let's go right. 3 of them decide to go left. To the right, you have a puzzle that starts to happen. To the left, you haven't really gotten there yet. You've put those players on hold. Hey, we'll get to you in a second. And you go to the right-hand side. They're doing a puzzle during this time, and the player that's on the left-hand side is like, oh, the answer is, and then tries to be involved. How do you deal with that kind of a player?
So take it
during those situations
a little bit further too, because I had an instance like this, and I think this is an instance that she's maybe talking about happening. Basically what Johnny says, but add another step. There is a door that slammed down and dividing him. Now the other players cannot get to the puzzle anymore, but they know that there's a puzzle in there, but their character doesn't know that there's a puzzle in there. So even if they did come back, there's not much they can do from where they are currently. That, I think, is the deeper part of it. I mean,
I see.
Yeah.
Zack.
So one of the ways we typically deal with it, well, I mean, it's not exactly the same situation you're talking about. It's similar. This actually happened to us in Fairy Coffins. Sabrina's character, her centaur, got blipped out into a different room. And she was just kind of sitting there. But we also had this like fairy NPC hanging out with us. So I said, well, why doesn't Sabrina just take over the NPC? So if their characters are off in whatever situation, they can temporarily get control of, if you have an NPC hanging around, or maybe they take control of the enemies for fun. I mean, there's ways to keep people involved.
Yeah, that's a great idea, honestly. Yeah, and when we actually did that in the Fairy Coffins, I hadn't even thought of it because I had a billion other things that I was doing, obviously. But yeah, no, that's a great idea. If you have like a really good idea, the person is a person. They would have thoughts and things like that. They might present those thoughts and ideas differently than your original character. But yeah, no, that's a great idea.
I mean, it works out either way.
I also when in this situation, I always, the thing that I think of is just a person that spoils it, and if we're going to talk specifically to that, you don't necessarily know that they're going to do something like that until it happens. There might be signs and things like that, and you might talk to them, hey, don't do that, or something like that.
What do you mean?
I think that
spoils the puzzle?
Like spoils the puzzle, yeah. Like if I'm not in the room, I have no way, there's no NPC over there,
Sure. No way to interact.
They're still clearly working on it and having fun trying to figure out this puzzle. And I figure it out first, and I know exactly what the answer is, and I go blurting it out. That just kills their fun. You're not there. Like, yes, if you were involved in the team, that would have been great. But like, you're not there, and I think that when it comes to those kind of situations, I think that and this is always the hardest part, really, is having a discussion with that person. Showing them, hey, I understand that you got excited that you knew that answer, but like, you ruined our fun because we were still trying to figure it out. And if they're willing to, accept that feedback, and you have to do it in a specific way, of course, but if they're willing to accept the feedback, that's one thing. If they don't, you have a big decision to like whether or not, because there's gonna be more puzzles. There will be. And there will be more times where the party is split up. Are you willing to, sacrifice the fun that you have for this person to just blurt it out again? It's a big balancing act that you have to keep.
It's a big balancing act, and there's certainly there's issues, because I could see it going the other way, but you kind of gotta read the room and like what the tone and vibe of your campaign is. But I could see it the other way, where like, if the characters are separated, the people playing them aren't. You get what I mean? So like, if there's separate groups of characters, you're still a group of 6 people at a table playing a game together. So you could, solve the puzzle together, even though like in the fiction, it's just those 3 characters. So it really depends on like how RP heavy or how hardcore you want your campaign to be. Because at the end of the day, you're all playing a game together, and, it depends on like if, table talk's a big issue, or people really mind that, or like out of character strategizing, that kind of thing. If everyone's okay with that, then everybody can solve the puzzle together regardless of which characters are in the room.
Yeah.
I think 100% that's exactly it. It really depends on the group of players. But I mean, I think if you can tell that the players that are involved in it, the puzzle, are getting more frustrated, you do have to have that sidebar of that player, and just have that conversation. You have to understand and basically let people have their moments, and that's a big thing.
You can't be the main character every time, basically.
Yeah, especially in a team game.
Exactly. I think that's the root of what the question is being.
I think
is
that
that
is too.
the person perhaps is always trying to I think that's exactly it. Basically having that conversation. You're not the main character. You're part of a team.
And that again is like reading the room.
Sure.
Right, of course. Daniel, what's up?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think that, as we said, pre-establishing rules is the most important thing.
Yeah, session 0.
Everybody communicates differently, and some people, like, for better or for worse, are just sometimes unaware of the impact they have on situations like these. So I think that's why setting expectations at the beginning is so important, because then there's no room for ambiguity.
Right.
In my opinion, one of my favorite things to do in the game, and it's not something that you can rely too much on, but like creating a moment where either you have some people leave a room, or if you're on digital, like creating like a breakout space. Like, I think that's because the other thing is typically those kinds of interactions happen when people are frustrated because, the session's been going on really long and people are starting to get tired, or their attention is flagging. And so, give them that moment, be like, hey, take a break, guys, like go chat, get some snacks, take it easy. We're gonna work through this thing over here.
Go to Red Robin. It's really good for solving puzzles.
Yeah. We're gonna work this out over here. We'll let you know when we're done. We'll figure out, where we go from there. Because then, again, you're just kind of like creating as much, distance
separation
as possible to avoid any kind of conflict going down at the table.
And I think, of course, reading the room, I think that if they were to be getting frustrated, I think that that's up to the DM at that point to be like, all right, your friend over here has the idea. You guys are obviously over it. Why not just have what is the answer? Or on the other hand, if your friend is super excited, he's like, oh, I know it. And I'll just be like, wait, text it to me.
Mm.
Cool. That way they can get it out of their system, and then
It would be really funny if they get really excited, but they're wrong.
yeah, that'd be so funny. Yeah, just have them. But yes, they can get it out of their system. But
That's a good point.
yeah, no, I think that's a great question that Heather brought up.
It's an issue. It comes up.
And I'm super glad. Yeah, and if any of you have any questions like that, go ahead and send us a email through asktalkingxp@gmail.com. asktalkingxp.com. Nope. asktalkingxp@gmail.com.
Fuck.
Send it.
asktalkingxp@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Shit.
Or
what Zach said.
Or join our Discord and ask us there, because we'll see it and we'll respond
Please.
either there
Yeah.
or on our next podcast. Well, actually, we'll probably do both. We'll address both.
Probably
Or
make
Twitter.
like
Or
all sorts of ways. to handle
Instagram.
this.
Or literally anywhere. Talking XP. Find us.
Probably the email
But-
though.
With all that said, thank you so much for listening. We all appreciate you being here and listening and supporting our show. If you like what you've heard, please look for our episodes every third Tuesday of each month. And if you have any topics, comments, questions, answers to our 1 minute one shot, once again, find us on social media. It's @TalkingXP and asktalkingxp@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
But-
That part's really important.
@gmail.com. But anyways, make sure to level up and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.